Good morning. It is Wednesday, August 26th at about 9:50 in the morning, about 10 minutes to 10. My name is Larry Cedar, and I'm back with you for another session on scanning, SQANNING, which is a relaxation technique which utilizes the incremental release of muscular tension to achieve a deep state of physical, emotional, and mental calm. That's what we've been doing here for the past few months. Try to be here every day. As a form of practice of this technique, and also just to talk about the foundations of the technique and why I so strongly believe in it. Today's going to be a little bit different. I typically will do a session first thing in the morning, and then I'll get on with my day, which includes a lot of times working out and getting to work on whatever auditions I'm doing out of the house or whatever activities I need to get onto. Today I tried something a little different just to experiment. You'll notice I'm a little bit out of breath. I started today's day with a workout. I like to do typically a session before I work out because the session relaxes me and then my workout is easier. Everything is easier, more effective when you are relaxed. However, today I started my day with my workout, and I do a pretty strenuous workout because I wanted to experiment with the idea of moving from the contracted state that exercise brings you into the more expanded state that scanning brings you into. And the reason I did that is this. I've talked about different sorts of contraction and how they limit us, and how there's physical contraction, mental contraction, emotional contraction, which is known as depression. So yesterday I talked about being in a more, let's say, emotionally depressed state, and we used the technique to expand to bring myself back out into a more open state of mind, which it did. Today I am in a physically contracted state. This is something we also enter, and this is when we're tense, wound up, feeling rigid, constricted, inflexible, sort of amped. That's the state that exercise will bring you into. Now let's talk a little bit about exercise. Exercise is a form of contraction. Literally, you're contracting the muscles on a very high level to develop strength, to develop endurance. I'm still a little bit out of breath. Now, why would we do that? If we talk about contraction as being somewhat restrictive or limiting, why would we contract? Well, we live in this world. We are a contraction. We have to contend with contraction. It's the stuff of life. One of the reasons we exercise is that we can be better at contraction so that we can be stronger. But there are limits. We can take contraction too far. They can take us into a state of rigidity. So I work out to be strong, but I have to be careful because working out, contracting, brings you into a contracted state. And as it turns out, after this session is over, I'm going to be sending in some auditions, voiceover auditions, and I need to be in a relaxed state so that I have better control of my voice. I can give a more relaxed interpretation of the copy and all that auditioning entails. So I need to bring myself out of the contracted state that exercise has brought me to into a more expanded state. So today I'm experimenting with that. And the reason I'm doing that is because frequently I will use scanning to relax, just to relax, to bring myself out of a contracted state into a more expanded state. So that's what we're going to do today. And I am in a highly contracted state right now, I'll be honest with you. Still out of breath. My muscles are still a little sore from contracting. I do calisthenics of different sorts. And I need to bring myself into a more expanded state. Now, if you've been taking these sessions with me, you know that we talk about moving from a contracted to an expanded state as the stuff of life. We move between contraction and expansion. We use scanning technique to move ourselves into a more expanded state. It's funny, I have to laugh at myself. Because I am in a contracted state, I'm literally having trouble putting my thoughts together. That's what being contracted does to you. It makes you inflexible, rigid, uneven. So let's see what we can do. We'll talk more about the foundations of the technique in a minute, but let's just get right into it. Squeeze your hands together. That's contraction. That's where I'm at right now. Every muscle in my body, my diaphragm, my breathing mechanism is contracted, rigid. I'm sort of stuck in that state. So that's me. Squeeze your hands together tight, tight, tight. And on my count, 3, 2, 1, release. Drop your hands, take a deep breath. We're going to see what I can do about bringing myself into a more expanded state. Another breath. You'll also notice that my voice is higher pitched. That's because my diaphragm is contracted. Everything is tight. Another deep breath. So this session is an experiment of sorts. 15 seconds of stillness and silence. Deep breath. So exercise, in a way, is a simulation of emotional tension. When you're about to undertake a task of some sort and you're nervous about it, you're worried about the outcome, you're trying to control it, you tend to contract. You tend to try to control your experience. Muscularly, I can't even talk. You contract in a muscular way, you contract in a mental way. You're trying to control yourself, you control your future and your environment. I have to laugh because I'm literally induced a contracted state through exercise, and I'm going to see if I can pull myself out of it. So when you're in this state, exercise brings you to that state. It's a perfect time to experiment with seeing if you can pull yourself out of that contracted state into a state of expansion. So that's what we're doing today. Just have to laugh at myself, but here we go. Squeeze your hands together, tight, 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 tight. Let's see what I can do for myself today. Tight. 3, 2, 1, release. Let that sense of release pass through your body. Take 3 deep breaths. Another. And another. 15 seconds of stillness and silence. And it's okay to laugh at yourself sometimes. Laughter is a form of expansion. It's a form of acceptance. It's a form of enjoyment at whatever the circumstances may be. So I am laughing at myself right now. I am laughing at myself. Let's try it again. Squeeze your hands together. Tight, 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 tight. That's contraction. That's the state I brought myself into with this very, very strenuous exercise. 3, 2, 1. We're going to reverse that. Release. Letting go of all muscular tension. Let that sense of release pass through the body. Take 3 deep breaths. 2, 3, 15 seconds, stillness and silence. Repeat. Squeeze your hands together. Tight, 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 tight. That's contraction. See what that feels like. I'm already feeling a difference. 3, 2, 1. Release. See if you can let that sense of release, muscular release, pass through your entire body. No effort involved. Take 3 deep breaths. 2, 3. 2 more if you can. 4. And 5. And 30 seconds of stillness and silence. Okay, so I feel the difference already. Amazing. Just amazing. Deep breath. Wow. Incredible. As I said, I am my own science experiment of sorts. I practice this technique on myself every day, sometimes several times a day, just to see what it does to my state of mind, my state of being. Yeah, it's incredible. So we started this session. I started very agitated, very wound up, very contracted as a result of just having finished exercising, about a half an hour's worth of calisthenics, which I do. I felt constricted. My breathing felt constricted. I felt agitated. I felt like I had a lot of compulsive thoughts and feelings going through me. I felt like I couldn't settle down in my chair. I was having difficulty forming words and sentences, putting my thoughts together. I was uncomfortable. Now, exercise is great, but it did bring me to a highly contracted state. So if you were here from the beginning of the session, you may have noticed that. And again, it's a little embarrassing to present yourself in that way, but I do become excessively contracted, not just because of exercise, but because of circumstances sometimes, and I do become agitated and can't think clearly. So you were seeing a perfect example of that. In this particular case, I had artificially induced a state of contraction by putting myself through a half an hour of very strenuous exercise. So this was an experiment of sorts. I took myself through the usual steps: contraction, expansion, let that sense of expansion permeate my body, took a series of deep breaths, sat in stillness and silence. These are the three, what I call preliminary steps towards moving into an expanded state. So we're going to do it a couple more times, and then we're going to move into the nuts and bolts of the technique, which is the muscular relaxation. But again, I did this by way of demonstration to show you that you can bring yourself from a contracted state with some very simple steps. If I had to describe the difference in how I feel now versus when I started, I would have to say I feel more settled in my chair. I feel more still. I feel more quiet. I feel more calm. And again, I'm just registering that sensation. It's amazing. It's why I love this technique. It's why I do it so regularly. And it's why I share it with you. I think it's incredible. So let's do it again. Squeeze your hands together, tight, 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 tight. That's contraction. That's one of the two major processes in life and in the universe, contraction versus expansion. So we're in a contracted state. What do we do? 3, 2, 1, release. Drop your hands. Feel that sense of release, the difference between contraction and expansion. Let it permeate your body. Tune into and become highly aware of what it feels like to be expanded muscularly versus contracted. Take 5 deep breaths. 2, 3, 4, 5. 30 seconds of stillness and silence. Deep breath. Wow, I feel like a different person. It's just incredible. Simple steps. So again, if you just joined us, what happened today is I decided to experiment a little bit and literally induce a highly contracted state through exercise. Exercise is great for you, but it will bring you into contracted state by its very nature. If we're using the incremental release of muscular tension to achieve a deep state of physical, emotional, and mental calm, then exercise is contracting your muscles to give yourself fitness and health. Again, contraction is the stuff of life. There's nothing wrong with that. But immediately after you've exercised, you will be in a contracted state, a heightened contracted state. So I began this session having just finished exercised in a highly contracted state. I was agitated, having a little difficulty thinking clearly. Again, I'm just noting the difference. It's incredible. I certainly didn't feel able to sit in stillness and silence like I'm doing right now. So this is a perfect example of having brought myself from a contracted into an expanded state, simply through noticing the difference. This is a metaphor, a binary metaphor. I indicated to myself that I was in a contracted state, that's me, and then I showed myself that I have the power to change that at any given time by deciding 2, 3, 2, 1, expand. Release that contraction, see what it feels like. Take a series of deep breaths, which are expansive by nature, as many as you can handle. Then sit in 15 seconds of stillness and complete silence. Stillness being the opposite of action, silence being the opposite of words and thoughts. So I brought myself through these strong but simple steps into a state of expansion. And as a result, I feel more calm, more centered, have a clearer sensibility, and I'm much more comfortable in that silence and stillness. I could sit here for another 20 minutes and feel just fine. So you might think about that if you have been in a contracted state and you want to calm yourself down, or if you're about to enter a, let's say, difficult, challenging situation. For me, that would be, let's say, an audition, trying to get a job. And you want to calm yourself before you enter that situation so you are more effectively acting, behaving, speaking, thinking, clearer, calmer, more still. So you might consider taking these simple preliminary steps. And now we'll do what we normally do, which is move into the nuts and bolts of the technique, which is the incremental release of muscular tension. We've shocked ourselves, we've pulled ourselves powerfully into an expanded state through a series of deep, deep breaths and stillness and silence. If you have no time for anything else, just do that. Sit down, take a series of deep, deep breaths, and sit in stillness and silence. And it will feel like you're on a rocky boat. You may feel dizzy, you may feel weird. You're literally shifting consciousness. You're not just allowing your consciousness to float wherever. You're taking your consciousness in hand. You're saying, we're moving. We're going from a contracted state into an expanded state. Come on, you're coming with me. Simple. Deep breaths, stillness and silence. Deep breaths, stillness and silence. Deep breaths, stillness and silence. You will begin to feel a change. You will begin to feel a shift. And you take that stillness and silence for two reasons: to bring yourself further into that expanded state, but also to register the change, to note the change, and enjoy the change. It's great to feel calm. It's not so great to feel agitated, confused, disturbed, have compulsive thoughts. It's unsettling. It's nice to feel still, calm, clear-headed, at peace. And you'll see me take these moments throughout these sessions, because what I'm doing is I'm going, there it is. There it is. That's that place I'm trying to go to. And I'll just notice it. You know, it's a place we don't allow ourselves to go to very often. We feel that we must constantly fill our lives with stimulus, with words, with sound, with activities, with action, with thoughts, with obsessive anxiety. We feel like if we just have that emptiness, we're not defined and we won't know what to do. We're at sea, we're lost. But in fact, that place of stillness, that place of calm, that's the true you. That's the true being. Unattached, detached from all the external processes we've involved ourselves in, detached from all the obsessive thoughts we've attached ourselves to in an effort to control our world. When you detach, you come to this place of neutrality and stillness and silence. That's the real you. Just aware. You're just aware and accepting of everything you hear or see. That's expansion. Okay, so let's continue now with the muscular process. Again, scanning is the incremental release of muscular tension to achieve a deep state of physical, emotional, and mental calm. So we're going to now work our way through our body. Excuse me. And incrementally release muscular tension. We're going to start with the face. 3, 2, 1, release. And I snap my fingers because it's like a switch. 3, 2, 1, watch my face. Turning off the power to the muscle. That's all we're going to do. Work our way through our body and discover pockets of tension, because we tend to have a low level of tension at all times in our body. We're holding. We're keeping it together. We're prepared for whatever. Mentally, physically, emotionally, we're in a held position. That takes energy. That's draining you of your energy. So if you can release that muscular tension, you don't have to use the energy that it was taking to hold that tension. That frees you up. That frees these stores of energy up to devote to something much more effective or beneficial or enjoyable. The face, 3, 2, 1, release. The top of the head, 3, 2, 1, turn off the power, release. Have you ever been to seen a hypnotist at a party or a show, and they'll go, when I count 3, 2, 1, you're going to pass out, and they'll go 3, 2, 1, boom. The head will just drop. They're under. Well, that's what you're doing. You're just letting go of all muscular tension. The top of the head. 3, 2, 1. Release. And feel that slight sagging. The back of the head. 3, 2, 1. Release. And if you feel other parts of your body letting go as you do this, that's good. Your body is sympathetic to itself. If it feels one corner of the body doing something, it goes, what's going on? Can I play? And it will start to let go too. So you might start to, as you're concentrating on one muscle group, feel another group relax in sympathy with that group. Let that happen. Zone 4, the neck. 3, 2, 1, release. And again, the contrast between how I feel now, I'm going to go back and look at this session afterwards and laugh at myself because I can feel the difference. It's like I was going 75 miles an hour and now I'm going 5. The neck, 3, 2, 1, release. The shoulders, let them drop. You want to feel that slight change as you turn off the power to this muscle group. 3, 2, 1, release. Take a deep breath. Another. And another. 2 more if you can. Last one. 1 more for extra credit. 15 seconds of stillness and silence. Zone 6 is the chest, down the stomach and into the waist. 3, 2, 1, release. Again, you're looking for that slight. If this is the muscle we're focusing on, 3, 2, 1, release. That's what you're looking for. Every time we talk about a muscle group, you're just trying to induce that slightest release. Doesn't have to be major. What's important is that you feel a change. A change. You can't contract and expand at the same time. If you're expanding, you are no longer contracting. If you feel a sense of release, you have begun to expand. Now, you might not be as released as you'd like to be. If you are 100% contracted, you may go from that to 90% contracted. So you're reducing the amount of contraction, but you are, in fact, melting away that contraction. So any change is good. Zone 7 is the back, down into the waist and pelvis. 3, 2, 1, release. Again, the back, down the waist and into the pelvis. 3, 2, 1, release. Zone 8, the final zone, down the legs, across the knees and into the feet. 3, 2, 1, release. So you'll feel 2 things regarding the breath. As you begin to relax, you'll feel your body want to take more breaths. So you'll feel an impulse to intake air, and as you release the musculature, you'll feel an impulse to release. Watch. The neck, 3, 2, 1. Everything's loosening up. Everything is operating more freely, more naturally. You know, there's a story of a man who's walking around, wandering around, somewhere in a field, just looking frantically for something. And another man comes over to him and says, "Can I help you?" And the guy says, "Yes, I'm trying to find something, and I just can't find it." The guy says, "Well, what are you looking for? Maybe I can help you." And he goes, "I'm trying to find the moon. I just can't find the moon." The guy says, "The moon? Oh, well, there's the moon." And he points up into the sky and he says, "There's the moon." And the guy looks up and goes, oh, God, thank goodness, there it is. I've been looking all night. There's the moon." The guy goes, "Yeah, there it is. There's the moon." The guy goes, "Yeah, there's the moon." He goes, "That's right, it's right there." And the guy goes, "Yeah, I see it now." And the guy goes, "Yeah, isn't that great? There it is. I know, I see it now." He goes, "Yeah, well, good. I'm glad I was able to help you." He goes, "I see it now." He says, "You can put your hand down. I see it." And the moral of that story is, once you've found the moon, you don't have to keep pointing at it. You see the moon. And I say that because I've presented a lot of techniques to get you to the moon, shall we say, to get you to a place of stillness and calm and silence. The reason I keep stopping and sitting in stillness and silence, because that's the moon. That's the moon. That's where we're headed. A place of stillness and calm and silence and contentment, peace, quiet, joy. So this technique brings me to that place. So when I get there and I begin to feel it, I just want to stay there. I want to quit talking about it. I have an impulse to just stop talking about it and just experience it. All these words, all these descriptions, all these things I'm talking about are contractions. These are quote unquote lessons. These are words and thoughts and actions I've devised to help me get to the moon, to help you get to the moon. Once you're there, there's no need to talk about it anymore. So I sit in stillness and silence, and I just enjoy it. Now, part of me says, well, that's selfish. I'm there. Maybe they're not. Maybe I should keep teaching. But part of me also says, maybe my shutting up and just sitting in stillness and silence is as important a lesson as anything else I could tell you. What if the answer was in no answer? What if the solution to all of our problems was to take a moment of stillness and silence? To quit talking about it, to quit thinking about it, to quit trying to figure it out, and just be there. What if we all did that? What if instead of typing and tweeting and posting and writing and yelling and screaming, what if we all just stopped and sat for 15 seconds or 30 seconds in stillness and silence? Could we learn something from that? I think so. I think so. And that's why I stop. And I sit in stillness and silence, and I see what that teaches me. And hopefully what it teaches anyone who's here listening. What can we learn from stillness and silence? So this has been an interesting session. And if you've been here from the beginning, you'll understand why I'm saying that. If you haven't, I'm going to repost this, and you can look at the beginning, as embarrassed as I am by it, and you can see maybe what it is I'm trying to achieve with this practice for myself and by sharing it with others. And I think that's all I'm going to say today. I'm going to leave it at that. I'll repost this session on my Facebook page. I'll also repost it on the Scanning Facebook page, SQANNING. Scanning is the incremental release of muscular tension to achieve a deep state of physical, emotional, and mental calm. I'll also post it on the Scanning Facebook page, SQANNING. If you go there and like and follow that page, you will get alerts or notifications when there's a new session. I try to be here every day. I pretty much am able to. Sometimes it's every other day, sometimes longer. I also post these sessions on the YouTube Scanning page. So that's it. I always end every session with rule number 1. First rule of the day: love yourself. This is what you were given, for better or worse. You got to love it. You got to cherish it. You're only going to get it once. When it's gone, it's gone. It becomes something else. So love and cherish yourself. There's an infinite amount of love in the universe. Take as much as you need and give it to yourself until you're completely filled up with love. When there's so much that it's spilling over and you have extra, take that extra, pass it around to me and anyone else you can see or come into contact with, because we could all use it. So that's it. Have a great day, folks, and see you tomorrow. Take care. Bye-bye.